Economic and societal determinants of fertility across the world. In the field of development economics, fertility is a commonly debated subject. Some economists believe that fertility is tied to culture, and that the number of children a woman has is due to the society in which she lives. Others believe that fertility is tied to economic development, and that positive development either increases or decreases fertility. Using Gapminder, we wanted to find trends and correlations to better understand how fertility should be studied in relation to economic development. This chart showing fertility on the x-axis and income on the y-axis shows a clear negative correlation. An increase in fertility is associated with a decrease in a country's per capita income. However, there are other significant conclusions that might be drawn to this graph. Each country tends to cluster with countries that are in the same geographic group, i.e. Americas, Europe, Africa, and Asia. So, there might be some validity to the culture argument. Let's dig a little deeper. Access to contraception is an often talked about issue in development and health economics. Again, there's a clear negative correlation between contraception use and fertility. An experiment in Indonesia that studied the period between 1982 and 1987 might be illuminating. The RAND study examined family planning programs, noting that many other studies find significant correlation coefficients that, quote, reflect both the impact of the government programs on fertility and the effect of fertility on government decisions regarding allocation. Finding the direction of causality is clearly difficult. However, this study showed that 75% of Indonesia's remarkable 25% reduction in fertility could be attributed to contraceptive use. Even as Indonesia's economy was growing rapidly in the 80s, it seems that the intentional implementation of family planning programs made the biggest impact on fertility. The importance of family planning can also be seen in the connection between the mean years in school and the fertility rate.
There is a negative correlation between the mean years in school of women 15 to 24 years old on the y-axis and fertility on the x-axis. The fertility increases as the mean years in school decreases. Countries of the same continent tend to cluster together, similar to the graph of fertility and income. Specifically, women in countries from Africa and Asia tend to have more babies per woman and less years in school than women in countries in Europe and the Americas. The causes of this development may be found in a study examining the effects of women's education levels on fertility. The study found that better educated women in developed and developing countries have fewer children than less educated women. However, the study notes that the reasons for this trend remain unclear. Learn knowledge in how to effectively raise children, improvement of maternal and child health, increasing women's capacity to give birth, increased understanding of contraceptive methods, and empowerment in household decision-making and family planning all play a role in reduced fertility rates among increasingly educated women. As the number of years spent in school is influenced by factors such as income, socioeconomic status, and the woman's age at first marriage, economic development can play a major role in the fertility rates of women.
As opposed to their 20s. Another interesting variable to consider when analyzing fertility is a woman's age during her first marriage. We can see on the graph that the older a woman is during her first marriage, y-axis, the fewer babies she has, x-axis. Looking at all North America in 2005, we can specifically see the negative correlation. First, we can see on the graph that in Mexico, a 22-year-old married woman is, on average, likely to have either 2 or 3 children. In the U.S., a 23-year-old woman is, on average, likely to have 2 babies. In Canada, a 26-year-old married woman is, on average, likely to have either 1 or 2 children. In order to support this negative correlation, we can consider some of the reasons why it may make sense through our knowledge of development and evolutionary economics. For example, one evolutionary theory that may support this correlation is the idea of women and their biological clock. Essentially, women are more inclined to feel the need to have children at a younger age, as they are afraid of waiting too long and missing out on the opportunity to be able to. Although on this graph we can see such negative correlation, we must point out that it only provides us information up until the year 2005. This is important to note since in more recent years there has been a different relationship between the two variables. In the years after 2005, specifically 2017, it's evident that more and more Americans are waiting until their 30s to have babies as opposed to their 20s. As a result, we can conclude that society has an influence on a woman's fertility. Although there have been changes in the correlation between the variables in more recent years, we can justify this change with modern changes that we are seeing today. For example, many people are attending college, and as a result, they are getting married later. Also, there have been major advances in fertility technologies and more use of contraceptives.